Hello all, hope you're having a great day today. We are finishing up chapter 8, part 2. Here we go. In and of itself is neither good nor bad, only in how it is used. So it's important to look at power as a constructive tool, as a way for you to organize action and get something done. For our purposes, then, power is the ability to influence the action of others. Mark Emmert, president of the NCAA, is thus a powerful person, as is every effective coach and athletic director. FIFA is a powerful organization because of the influence it wields around the world. Just as it can be gained, every type of power can also be lost. Think about what happened to Tiger Woods. Ask Pete Rose, all-time base hit champion who was banned from the Baseball Hall of Fame for betting on baseball games. Power sometimes does shift in teams. New stars rise as others decline in performance. The USADA played an important part in finding bicyclist Lance Armstrong guilty of using banned drugs in his sport. As stated by USADA CEO Travis T. Tygart, Lance Armstrong finally acknowledged that his cycling career was built on a powerful combination of doping and deceit. His admission that he doped throughout his career is a small step in the right direction. Armstrong paid the United States government $5 million for using performance-enhancing drugs, while the U.S. Postal Service was paying millions to sponsor his team. Of power, along with their two sources, are shown in Figure 8.3. People who get results and who have good people skills are often granted power, either formally or informally. Note that building a power base does not necessarily mean taking power away from others. People who are willing to step forward and do the work are given power. However, having position power makes it much easier to have power. Coercive power uses threats or punishment to achieve compliance. It gets its effectiveness from our fear of humiliation in the form of reprimands, probation, suspension, or dismissal. Coercive power also uses verbal abuse and ostracism, both dramatic but not very productive. Abusive power leads to negative employee behavior and lower performance. Bullies usually gain power for personal gain, and bullying is negative behavior. Group members may use coercive power to enforce norms. Coercion does have appropriate uses. For example, when employees or players break the rules. The USADA uses coercive power routinely, as do innumerable governing bodies. Should the USADA have coercive power over Olympic athletes? You decide. When people use their relationships with influential or important people to influence your behavior or attitudes, they're using connection power. When people know you are friendly with people in power, they tend to help you as a favor to their friend in power. Connections can help you find work and get the resources you need to succeed. What would you do if the boss's daughter asked you to do something for her? Networking is about developing relationships to increase connection power. We discuss networking in a later section. As a manager, you will have the ability to praise, recognize achievement, raise wages, and promote people. This is reward power, the ability to influence others by giving them something they value. As we noted in Chapter 7, as a manager, you will get what you reward. You will learn how to give praise that motivates in Chapter 11. With teammates and coworkers, you can give compliments and help them. Explain how reward power, legitimate power, and referent power differ. Think about that. Power given to people by organizations or by society is legitimate power. Managers have legitimate power. So do police officers, and both have coercive power as well. When our boss asks us to do something, we typically think we should do it because it's a legitimate request that is part of our job. So we do the task. If we don't think it is a legitimate request, for example, if it seems unethical, we may try to get out of doing the task. Coaches and managers use legitimate power to get the job done every day. Referent power is about voluntarily giving someone power over you. Therefore, in your behavior, you will refer to what you think the power holder would do or would want you to do. People using reverent power don't give orders. They make relationship-related requests like, please do this as a favor for me. And will you please do this for me? Star athletes have referent power over their fans. This is personal power, of course. It is about the referent's charisma, interpersonal openness, and experience as someone older and wiser or more successful and more skilled. Managers gain this power when they are respected by their work group. In this age of information, people who have knowledge or data that others need have information power because information is the important source of power, not money. This is personal power, although sometimes it is also position power because you happen to be in the right place or position to acquire the knowledge and gather the data. As a manager, you will need to rely on information supplied by others. They will therefore have power over you because your work can only be as good as the information it's based on. You also be a conveyor of information to your staff and to your bosses, and as such will also have information power. We'll talk more about communication skills in Chapter 10. People who have expertise or specialized skills that others need have expert power. This too is personal power. When you are an expert at something of value to others, they will come to you for your ideas and leadership. NBA forward LeBron James has expert power that his team needs. The fewer the people who possess a particular expertise, the more power the expert has. The best managers and coaches are not always the one with the most expertise. Expert power is essential to people who work with other departments and other organizations. They have no direct position power, but being seen as experts gives them credibility and standing. Is often viewed as one's ability to make people do something or as one's ability to do something to people or for them. These definitions are valid, but they also cast power as manipulative or even destructive, as does Lord Acton's saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Unfortunately, some people abuse power and commit unethical acts. Without power, organizations and managers cannot achieve objectives. Leadership and power go hand in hand. Employees are not influenced without a reason, and the reason is often the power a manager has over them. You don't always have to use your power to influence people. Often it is the perception of power rather than the wielding of it that influences others. So you can see this continuum and where they meet in the middle of position power and personal power for each of the other different types of power. Coercive and connection and reward tend to be on more position power versus on the other side of personal power, expert and having information and being a referent power. Politics is the efforts of groups or individuals with competing interests to obtain power and positions of leadership. Like power, organizational politics has a negative connotation because it can be manipulated and abused. So we have to be ethical in using power and political behavior to help the organization achieve objectives. Networking is about developing relationships to gain social or business advantage. Networking is important to career success, and more people get jobs through networking than through all other methods combined. But networking is not just about you getting a job. Successful networking is based on developing mutually beneficial relationships. Many young people are good at using social media to network. However, some young people are not good at networking face-to-face, which is important on the job. Many people develop networks by playing and talking about sports. People have been offered a job on the playing field. Many business deals have been made on the golf course. People network by taking up sports that their boss and people at other higher levels play and watch. even when they have no interest in the sport. Talk sports to those who are interested, but talk about other topics of interest to people who are not into sports. Here you see a triangle with networking at the top, reciprocity at the bottom left-hand corner, and coalitions at the bottom right-hand corner. Power players are people who can help you in your career. Always remember that your coach or boss is the key power player for you. When you understand the power players in your group, department, and organization, you can tailor your presentations to meet their pet criteria. For example, some managers want details. Others are impatient with the details and just want the big picture. Do things your boss's way or convince the boss that your way is better and get support for your work so you stand out for advancement. Reciprocating is an element of social exchange theory that involves returning in kind. Reciprocity thus involves using mutual dependence to accomplish objectives. Through work, you develop mutual obligation and reciprocity. You can think of reciprocity as an unknown IOU. Have you heard the expressions, I owe you one and you owe me one? When someone does something for you, you incur an obligation that the person may expect to be repaid in kind. Likewise, when you do something for someone, you create a debt that you may be able to collect later when you need a favor. Reciprocity is commonly used to get the job done. Do you like people who take advantage of you for their own personal gain? Aren't your good personal and work relationships built on helping each other? Reciprocity is not all about getting others to help you. Helping others is the driver of your own success. As motivational speaker Zig Ziglar said, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Ever help anyone not expecting anything in return but end up getting more than you gave? A coalition is an alliance of people with similar objectives who have a better chance of achieving their objectives together than alone. It often takes a coalition to get changes that you want to make. Networking and reciprocity are work in continual progress. In contrast, coalitions often come together temporarily and then dissolve once their objectives are accomplished. More important decisions are made by coalitions outside of their formal meetings. Let's say you are on a team and the captain is selected by a nomination and vote of the team members. If you want to be captain, you can politic by asking close teammates who they will vote for and try to get their votes. If they are supportive, you can ask them to ask others to vote for you. If the majority of the team say they will vote for you, you have won the election before the coach even starts the meeting. If you don't get any support from your close teammates and others, you can drop the effort to build a coalition, knowing that you will lose. This same coalition process is used to influence all types of decisions. So first, you want to learn the organizational culture, learn who the power players are, and make sure not to surprise your boss. Be an honest team player, stay tuned to the networking grapevine, and resolve conflicts. A conflict exists whenever people disagree. It doesn't have to be a major disagreement. Every time someone says or does something you don't agree with, you are in opposition, and that is a conflict. Conflict occurs in every team and organization. It exists in every relationship. You are in conflict when you get aggravated at someone and when someone says or does something differently than you that bothers you. You can't live and work without running into conflict, so you might as well learn how to manage it effectively and maintain and improve relationships. If you don't, you can hurt feelings, harm relationships, and hinder your career. Thus, conflict management is an important skill to develop both at work and in your private life. In this section, you will learn why people get into conflict, how conflict helps and hurts at work, and approaches to handle conflict. Conflict management is based on two dimensions: concern for others' needs and concern for your own needs, which result in three types of behavior: passive, aggressive, and assertive, and three win-lose situations. Some people try to manage conflict by avoiding it. They refuse to take a stance, withdraw mentally, or simply leave. This approach is neither assertive nor cooperative, and it resolves nothing as both sides tend to lose. Be careful with avoiding because it can result in frustration, leading to passive aggressive behavior, yelling arguments that never resolve the conflict. So confront others early and stay calm. Also, when people learn that you are an avoider, they will take advantage of you because they know you will not stand up to them. However, there are times when it is best to avoid an argument over a trivial matter that they may hurt your relationship. And when you or the other person is overly emotional or you don't have time, avoid until you have the correct emotional mindset and time to resolve the conflict. People who resolve conflict by passively giving in or managing conflict by accommodation. You satisfy the needs of others, but you neglect your own needs by letting others get their way by doing something you really don't want to do. The opposing party wins, you, the accommodator, lose. Avoidance and accommodation differ in one significant way. Avoiders basically do nothing. Accommodators have to do something they don't really want to do. You may like being a follower and preserving relationships by doing things other people's way, but it is counterproductive when you have a better solution. An overuse of accommodating tends to lead to people taking advantage of you, and the type of relationship you try to maintain is usually lost anyway. We often must accommodate our bosses, especially when they use a forcing style. However, there are times when we should accommodate. Why not give in to others when it's not important to you, but it is to them, and you don't have time to resolve the conflict? Isn't doing things we don't want to do an important part of relationship reciprocity and friendship? People who use aggression to get their way resolve conflict by forcing the other party to give them what they want. Forcers are uncooperative and aggressive. They do whatever it takes to satisfy their needs at the expense of others. Forcers threaten, intimidate, and call for majority rule when they know they will win. They also enjoy dealing with avoiders and accommodators because they are easy wins. Forcers win and everyone else loses. Using force from personal power tends to result in poor relationships and resentment toward you. But when you know you have the better idea that will help the organization push for it. From position power, the boss should enforce rules or confront open challenges to the manager's authority, using force when needed. It may also be needed when unpopular action must be taken on important issues and resolving a conflict is urgent. People who resolve conflict through assertive give and take concessions are managing conflict by negotiation. It's also called negotiators are both assertive and cooperative. Everyone wins some and loses some. Compromise may result in suboptimal decisions and action through concessions. Continuing use of negotiation, such as bargaining over labor contracts, leads to asking for much more than expected to get closer to what each side wants. However, in true negotiation situations, it should be used. It is often the only resolution to a conflict when the issues are complex and critical and there is no simple, clear solution to resolve the conflict. People who jointly and assertively try to get to the best solution, one that all parties can buy into, resolve conflict by collaboration. Collaborators are problem solvers. They are both assertive and cooperative. Of the 5 styles, only collaborating focuses on finding the best solution. Avoiders and accommodators focus on avoiding conflict, and forcers focus on winning at all costs. Collaborators are willing to change positions if a better solution is presented. Negotiation is often based on secret information, whereas collaboration is based on open and honest communication. This is the only conflict management style in which all parties win. Collaborating tends to lead to the optimal resolution to a conflict. However, it takes more skill, effort, and time to come to a resolution. There are situations in which it is difficult to come up with an agreeable solution, or when a forcer prevents its use. Skillful initiators use short BCF statements and then get involved parties to respond in BCF statements. BCF statements describe conflicts in terms of specific behavior, consequences, and feelings. That is to say, when you do B, which is the behavior, C, the consequences happen, and I feel or feelings. So F. Note that for personal conflicts, the consequences are to you, not to the other party. An example of a BCF statement is when you don't shower after practice, which is the behavior. It smells in our room and it makes me nauseous. Those are consequences to you. And it frustrates me, which is the feeling. The sequence can be varied to lift the situation, such as I fear, which is the feeling, that the advertisement is not going to work, the behavior, and that our hockey team will lose money, the consequences. The idea is to resolve the conflict while maintaining the relationship, so try to keep people from becoming defensive. When we become defensive and justify ourselves, we go into behavior modes that are counterproductive and usually end in an argument without a resolution. So to avoid making people defensive, use a short, specific BCF statement and follow these guidelines throughout the collaboration. Be specific when stating the behavior. Avoid generalities. Do you like to be told that you never, always, or constantly do something? Don't say to a teammate, you aren't giving it your best effort. Do say, I saw the fullback run right by you and you didn't chase him. Don't judge the behavior as being wrong. Be descriptive, not evaluative. Just state the specific behavior you'd like to have changed. When you tell someone they shouldn't do something, you are judging their behavior as wrong. Do you like to be told what you shouldn't do and that you are wrong? It's really common for people to get defensive and justify their behavior or to simply stop listening to you. If you say you shouldn't smoke, do you think that person is going to say, you're right, I'm going to quit right now? Don't say you shouldn't leave this place a mess. Do say, this is the second time today that I saw you spill coffee and not clean it up. Be descriptive. Don't tell people what to do. Do you like when people tell you what to do? It goes along with judging, because when you tell someone they shouldn't do something, you are telling them what to do. Telling people what to do may be a good solution, but don't have it in your opening BCF statement. Telling can come later after they respond to your BCF as step 3 of the model. Asking for or giving alternative resolutions. Don't assign blame about who is right or wrong. This goes along with judging. There are always two sides to every story. Your behavior may be directly or indirectly contributing to the conflict. Discussing who is right and wrong usually just ends in an argument and hurt relationships without resolving the conflict. Don't say this is all your fault. And don't threaten the other person. How do you react to threats? Your opening BCF definitely should not include a threat. If used at all during the discussion, threats should be a last, not a first option. Don't say, if you do it again, I'm going to tell the boss on you. Clearly, threatening others will affect your relationships. How we deal with power, politics, conflict, negotiation, and collaboration affects our level of stress. Our lives today abound with tension caused by deadlines, traffic jams, long hours at work and school, the need to excel in an uncertain competitive climate, lack of time to fulfill our responsibilities. The list is seemingly endless. Stress is our body's internal reaction to external stimuli from the environment. Our emotional reactions drive our body's physical reactions. Stress is based on our perception of the situation. Your teammate may be very comfortable going up to bat or taking the shot under pressure to win the game, but you may be stressed. How well do you handle stress? You can also develop your skill at recognizing the causes of stress and methods for reducing stress, fighting and winning the stress tug of war. As already discussed, first you have to identify the stressors in your life. Next, you look at what's causing them and the consequences of living with them and without them. Maybe you really don't want to quit college. Finally, you find ways to eliminate or decrease the stressors. Helping employees to stay fit increases productivity and is cost effective. It improves the bottom line. To combat the negative effects of stress, organizations are offering a variety of wellness programs. The stress management techniques we present here are widely effective, and you don't need to stress about using all of them or any that will cause you stress. Pick the ones you will enjoy. Manage your time. Good time management skills can decrease job stress. Chapter 14 gives more details on time management. Relax. Start by getting enough rest to rejuvenate your body. Have some fun and laugh. Socialize with friends and family. Listen to music. Pray. Meditate. Find the ones that work for you. Going to practice and games relaxed, not stressed, will enhance your performance. Use relaxation exercise. Simple relaxation exercises can relieve stress. One of the most popular and simplest is deep breathing because it relaxes the entire body and can be done anywhere. Consciously relaxing your entire body from toe to head is another. Table 8.1 describes some relaxation exercises that you can do almost anywhere. Deep breathing can be done during or between the other exercises. Simply take a slow breath, preferably through your nose. Hold it for a few seconds. Count to 5. Then let it out slowly, preferably through lightly closed lips. Make sure that you inhale by expanding the stomach and not the chest. Breathe in without lifting your shoulders or expanding your chest. Think of your stomach as a balloon. Slowly fill and then empty. As you inhale, visualize breathing in healing energy that makes you feel better, more energetic, and less pain. As you exhale, visualize breathing out tension, pain, illness, and other stress. Use this visualizing technique during the other relaxation exercises. Sleep. It makes you more productive. There is no magic number for everyone, but 7 hours of sleep a night is recommended. Hardworking athletes generally need more sleep than the average person to perform at the top of their game. Skimping on a full night's sleep, even by 20 minutes, impairs performance on and off the field and memory the next day. And it also makes you more selfish, emotional, and more likely to get into arguments and hurt relationships. Are you energetic and do you recover sufficiently from your workouts? Eat right. Good health is essential to your performance on and off the field, and nutrition is a major factor in health. Stress often leads to overeating, and being overweight is itself stressful. Here's the short version to a healthy diet. Limit your intake of sugar and white flour, which most processed foods are full of. Eat a good high-protein breakfast and don't eat junk food. Consume less fat, fried foods, caffeine, and salt. And limit your starchy carbohydrates, your breads, your grains, your proteins, rice, and so on. And eat more fruits and vegetables. You may like your soda and sport drink. They have lots of sugar, and energy drinks, lots of caffeine, but they can cause health issues. Artificial sweeteners may not have sugar or calories, but they do increase your risk of weight gain, developing diabetes, and other health problems. Consider drinking more water, which has health benefits. Exercise. You most likely already know how important exercise is to good health, and so do many organizations. But do you know that working out reduces the production of stress hormones and releasing stress? Many firms pay all or part of gym memberships and may have on-site exercise facilities and offer classes. More gyms lead to more sport management jobs. Exercising is an excellent way to break up your workday and release stress. Always check with a doctor before starting an exercise program. If you're on a competitive sport, you're most likely exercising enough. If not, aerobic exercises that increase the heart rate for 30 minutes or more, 3 or more times a week, are generally recommended. Interval training, faster and slower, is also recommended. The key is to pick an exercise you enjoy doing it. If you hate to jog, how long are you going to stick with it? Use stress as a tug of war, but with you in the center as shown in figure 8.8 here, or you are on a high wire act. On your left are ropes, which are the cause of stress. pulling you to burnout or off balance. Stress that is too powerful will pull you off center and cause you to fall. On your right are ropes. These are your stress management techniques that you can use to pull yourself back to the center to help you to keep your balance. The stress tug of war is an ongoing game. On easy days, you move to the right, and on overly tough days, you move to the left. Your objective in this game is to find ways to stay centered. Don't fall. But when you can't, it is also important to recover after being stressed out to avoid burnout. Managing stress well doesn't mean that you have to use all the techniques. Use what works best for you, but be aware that taken together, the techniques add up to a pretty good definition of a healthy life. What if you are using these techniques and your stress levels are still off the charts? Consider getting out of the situation. Ask yourself 2 questions. Is my long-term health important, and is this situation worth hurting my health? If you answered yes and no in that order, it may be time to drop the ropes, climb back down, and walk away. So some causes of stress. Sometimes it's about your personality type. You have a tendency to be type A, or you take on a lot of stress. The organizational culture, what is it like? Is it causing stress? Your management behavior and what work is performed, as well as the human relations. Your stress management techniques are your time management, relaxation, nutrition, exercise, positive thinking, and your support network. Functional stress is at the midpoint of a continuum, corresponding with high performance at the midpoint of a continuum below it. At one extreme is burnout and low performance. At the other extreme is no stress and low performance. And that is all we have for today. What I would expect for you to do with having gone through all of this is be able to describe the big 5 personality traits. Understand the perception process and the 2 factors on which it is based. Explain how personality, perception, and attitude are related and why they are important. Also be able to state what job satisfaction is and why it is important. Define power and explain the difference between position and personal power. And explain how reward power, legitimate power, and reverent power differ. Understand how power and politics are related, and explain what networking, reciprocity, and coalitions have in common. Describe the 5 conflict management styles. And use collaboration to resolve conflict. Be able to explain the stress tug-of-war analogy. And that is all we have for today. I look forward to talking with you again. We'll be talking about chapter 9 next. Have a great day.